Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I will discuss the one-dimensional array in Java programming. Basically, arrays are used to hold or store multiple values of same type in a single variable. But before I continue the discussion, please support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hit also the notification bell so that you will be notified with all the new videos that I'm going to upload in this channel. And so, what is one-dimensional array in Java programming? Basically, it's the same with other programming language because other programming language have one-dimensional array and they function the same. That is to hold or store multiple values of same type in a single variable. So just imagine you have one variable but it can hold multiple values. But in Java, these multiple values should be of the same type. I got an example here. It's going to be like this as illustrated here. So you have here 5 values: 126, 32, 230, 21, and 200. So just imagine this is an array and you have a variable for this as, for example, x. So x will have these 5 values. Okay, so it's something like that. Now, for each value, they are stored in what we call element. So for example, 126, this is the element for 126. There is another element and the value stored there is 32. And there is another element that is holding 230 and so on. Now for each element, have an address. Okay, so as you can see here, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first element, the address of that is 0, followed by the second element, which is 1. That's the address. And index address is 2 for the next element, for 230. So it's something like that. It always starts with 0 in Java. In other programming language, they start with 1. But here in Java, it starts with 0. So for instance, we have these 5 elements of integer values. Okay, the next question is, how do we declare one-dimensional array in Java? So that is very simple. I have here an example already. So having that example there, for instance here you go. So to declare an array of 5 elements, all you need to do is to say the data type first, int, followed by open and close square bracket, and then the variable that will hold it. For instance, it is num. Okay, so the variable we will be using here is the num. Alright, so it will have 5 elements. So it's equal to new int 5 elements. So like that. So it will always have integer values. In this case, 5 integer values. Okay, so this is how we declare an element with 5 integer values. You can also say something like this. Another way to do this is, sometimes we don't do like this, so we can also do like this. There you go. So it's the same. So the line number 9 and line number 10 are just the same. Just I placed the open and close square bracket here. How can we assign the values? To assign the values, like for example in the first element 126, so all you need to do is to do something like this, line 11. So num, and then square bracket, open square bracket, and inside the square bracket is equal to 126. So something like that. So you just have to mention the index address inside the square bracket. Okay, so again, for the second element, we do like this. For the third element, for the fourth element, and for the fifth element. And so if you will look at our diagram here, it will be something like that. Alright, so you just have to specify. That is assigning. Okay, now if you know already the value, you can also do like this. So int num, right, and then open and close curly bracket, and then you just have to specify inside the values. Something like this. So This one and this one right over here will be the same, and that is to assign the following values 126, 32, 230, 21, and 200 in an array. So this will become the first element, second element. This one will be stored in the third element, fourth element, and the fifth element, just like this. It will be the same. Now, how do we print the values? Okay, I would like to print now the first element, which is index 0. So it will be the same thing, just you have to use this. So you just have to say system.out.println. There you go. So it's like that. So the name of the variable, and then open square bracket and the index address and close the square bracket. Alright, so when we run now, we should have 126 there. As you can see, it's because we printed element 0. So if I want to print also element number 4, that will be it. And there you go, it's 200. Since these are numbers, I can also add the values. Let's say let's say okay, like that. So num index address 4 and index address 0. So we should be having 326 when we run. Okay, so when we run, it will be something like this. So it's just the normal way of assigning value and accessing the value. Just this time, these are arrays. So we have to specify their index address. Alright, so something like that. Now, we can also, if we want to determine the length of an array, so we can say something like this, num.length. Okay, that's it. So you just have to specify that length, because array are actually considered object, and we will just be using the length method. So it will return to us the number of elements. So when you run, you get the 5 there. Now, as you can see, our data type is integer data type. So meaning to say we can only assign integer values. You can also create an array wherein the values are string, character, double, whatever data type. Now, for instance, it is string. So for string, let's say for instance, names is equal to new string of 3. So we can say like that. So we can say names, let's say 0, it's the same again, but because these are strings, so we can say, let's say Mike here, like this. Then here, let's say Oscar. And here, let's say Sam here, right? So there you go. So you have now 3 elements of string data type. Alright, so that's an array of string data type. So as you can see, they are just basically the same. So if it is character, just change this one car and this one car. Alright, and if it is double, just change this to double, and then this one will be double. So the values will be double type. Alright, so it's something like that. So it's just very easy to create an array. So again, once again, you can also do something like this if you don't like to do like this. Alright, so you can also say something like string names, because you know already the values, so you can say, so let's say here Mike, then we have here Oscar. Oops, I forgot this one here. Right, and then there you go. So this one, assigning, you created an array of string data type, and that is names. That's the name of the array with these values here. Now we can also use the loop statements for traversing. Now meaning to say, when we say traversing, we have to go to each element and get those values. Maybe you want to print, or you will use in computation. All right, or you want to compute something and you will use those values one by one. So you are traversing. So you're trying to get the value one by one, and that is what we call traversing. All right, so for instance, let's have a very clean example of that. Let's say all right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove everything first. Right, let's start off a new one. So I'm going to remove all this first. So something like that. So I'm just going to use the same example. Let's say, for instance, let us use this example here. There you go. So I'm just going to use that example. And so I want to traverse. I want to get each and print. All right. So again, this is element 0. This value is in element 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I can say, let's just use the loop statement. All right. I have a video about loop statement. You can just watch that so that you will have a better understanding of the for statement. So basically, for statement is a loop statement which will repeat some of the statements, so something like that. So I have a video of that, and somewhere here we have actually the for statement. You can use that one, this one here. You can also use while statement and the do while statement as your looping statements. So please do watch this to have a better understanding of what are looping statements. And so I'm going to continue here. So I'm going to say here, let's say the index, initially I'm going to say 0, I less than equal 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, and then I plus plus. There you go. So I'm going to say system.out.println, let's say num of x. Basically, I'm sure you understand what this means. Oops, it should be I, by the way. So the I will serve as our index address. So initially it is 0. So I'm trying to print the element 0. When it goes back to the loop, I'm trying to print the second element because I will become 1 now. No? So I'm going to try to run it. There you go. So it's like that, traversing. So you're getting each value one by one using loop statements. All right, so you can also use while statement, for statement, do while statement. It doesn't matter. Okay, so you just have to know how to play the index address. Now, for instance, you would like to assign the value. So you created an array, but you don't have the value. The value will come from user input. So the user will input the value. Okay, so you will not assign just like what we did here. We assign the values immediately. So if you don't know what are the values, it is based on user input, then that is also possible here, right? So this time we will be using the scanner. So I'm going to remove this. Let's have another clean example. So this time I'm going to say this one. I'm going to use this one here. Still int value, right? So for instance, only three elements. So since we're going to input, we are going to use the scanner, right? So scanner, let's say data is equal to new scanner system that in. It should be capital S semicolon. All right, so because we have to declare, right, the library or the class for this scanner, and so that's why we have something like a red line here. So we have to declare that. NetBeans will help us by clicking here. I'm going to import the Java util scanner here. I also have a video about a scanner that it discuss there how to use the scanner, what is a scanner. So somewhere here. So here it is. So this channel is dedicated to programming or coding. So I have also other videos about Python and about XML. more videos will come for different languages. And so if we continue now, so I can say now this time, let's say system.out. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to say to the user that input a number. Alright, so it's going to be like that. I'm just going to say print, and then I'm just going to say, let's say num. I'm going to store the value in 0. Right, index address 0 is equal to data that next int. There you go, semicolon. So it means whatever I'm going to input, it will go there in index address 0. Okay, so I'm going to input 3 numbers. So there you go, input 3 numbers, something like that. All right. Oops, I have to correct this, so it should be 2, so something like that. All right. So if we want to print now, let's say going to print one by one, system.out.println, or I can use the traverse. No, I'm sure you know that, but okay, let's have something like that. You can also use traverse to print these 3. Okay, it will loop 3 times. So in this case, let's just make it simple, just for you to understand. I can print the 3 now. So if I run now, so I have to input first number, let's say 20. The second number is 500, and then I'm going to press enter, and then the next one is, let's say 200, then enter. That's it. So we input the values, we printed the values. So this one is in element 0, element 1, and element 2. That's all there is. All right. So it's going to be like that. That's how we use the scanner for assigning value to an element, array element, using the scanner. You can also use the loop statement for entering the value or user input. All right, you can use the loop statement for user input, so that, let's say for instance here 3, I'm going to say 3 numbers. I'm going to input 3 numbers. All right, so we can also use the loop statement instead of something like this. Okay, so in this case these are only 3, but what if you have 10 values to input? So better you have to use loop statement, so that because if you will not use the loop statement, you will have 10 like this, right? So let's have another example of that. Let's say I'm going to clean this first, so something like that. All right, so let's say I'm going to use the for statement. So 3, no? So let's say for int, let's say I is equal to 0, I less than equal to 2, right? I plus plus. There you go. Then I'm just going to say input a number. So it will do this 3 times. But while I am going to print this, while it will print this, I'm going to input. So I'm just going to copy this, copy here, paste there. This time I'm just going to change this to I. So it's something like that. Alright. At the same time, I'm going to print it. After I input, I'm going to print it. So I think I'm just going to copy this and paste it there. So I'm just going to say like this. Alright, so if I will run now, so as soon as I enter the value, it will print it immediately. Alright, for example, 40, enter. There you go. Then 100, enter. There you go. Okay, so you can do like that. If that is what is required for you to do, then you can do something like that. Okay, so if you would like to print first, if you would like to input first and then after that print, that is also possible. So I'm just going to copy this. So it's like that. So I'm just going to say like that. So no need for this. So you will input first the 3 numbers. After that, it will print one by one the numbers you input. Alright, so let's say again 100. This time it's 20, and then let's say 40. I'm going to press enter. I'm just pressing the enter, no? So enter. So there you go. So we inputted here, and then we printed the values right here. Okay, so again, I'm just using the int data type here. Again, you can also use it for different data types like double, character, or the string. Alright, so this is how we use the array, or this is how we declare an array and how to get the array values and assign values. Okay, so I hope you have learned in this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on my next one.